So this year's APEC leaders meeting, which many said would be a critical test for President Lee Jae Myung's pragmatic diplomacy, has come to a close. For more on the outcome of APEC and high-stakes meetings held on the sidelines of the event, we're joined today by Professor Chung Ku-youn, Associate Professor of Political Science at Kangwon National University. Professor, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
So before we get into the details, what's your overall assessment of Korea's hosting of APEC this year? Would you say the Lee administration has successfully cleared a major diplomatic hurdle?
Actually, indeed, it was successful, given that our international environment where diplomacy has lost its value and rather kind of trade conflict and confrontations and wars are everywhere. It is important to host this multilateral setting so that everyone can join and discuss this issue in a collective manners. And in that sense, I think South Korean government and President Lee did a quite successful job in convening all of these meetings in bilateral, multilateral, unilateral, all of these meetings, and was able to kind of induce resolutions at the end as a Gyeongju Declaration.
Right, and speaking of that Gyeongju Declaration, there have been concerns about a possible failure to adopt a joint statement, but APEC leaders did agree on a Gyeongju Declaration like you just mentioned. What does this entail, and what's your take on this development?
And as I said, and every leaders in the Asia Pacific actually understand the importance of these multilateral meetings. And even though they cannot agree upon the important things, such as more like a security issue, but at the same time, they understand maintaining this multilateral meeting is pretty important for the regional stability and prosperity. So when you look at the Gyeongju declarations, there are many actual issues, such as AI declarations and culture exchanges as a way of as a kind of new industry they can foster. But at the same time, they reconfirm the importance of multilateral trade as well as prosperity. So in that sense, I think they focus on what they actually agreed upon and actually the foundation they have to build upon to the future prosperity. So in that sense, I think Gyeongju Declaration is important so that they can sustain this spirit of multilateralism.
Right, and in Gyeongju, President Lee Jae Myung met with President Donald Trump, and they reached a trade deal that includes a $200 billion cash investment as part of a total of $350 billion investment package in exchange for lower tariffs on South Korean goods. Do you think this was a fair deal?
Well, as everyone knows, there has been many discussions and debate about whether this deal was actually a fair deal, and whether, in order to be a fair deal, what can we do as a partner of the United States? As you all know, there has been many debates about it. But in any way, we were able to reach a deal with the United States, and I think more negotiation in detail are more to come. I think it will take more times to specify the more specified plans and roadmaps so that we can actually invest our money to whatever the industry that the United States wants to invest, such as shipbuilding, semiconductor, or AI infrastructures. We need to discuss more about the specific plans in the United States and South Korea as well. So I think in that sense, we have to continue our effort to make this as a fair trade deals. But one concern is that as we invest our money and move our industrial facility to the United States, it might hollow out South Korea's industrial base. And as you know, many industries actually moved from South Korea to the United States. There are many factors actually affecting those decisions of the big conglomerates' decisions. But at the same time, as a result, our South Korea's industrial base are kind of hollowing out. So I think South Korean governments also take a serious considerations about the current industrial bases in the key cities in South Korea as well.
I see. And while President Donald Trump was in Gyeongju, he also authorized South Korea to build a nuclear power submarine. What does this mean for South Korea, and how might this affect Korea's relations with other neighboring countries?
Well, actually, what we asked is a nuclear fuel to extend our underwater capability, but we end up with President Donald Trump decisions that we are making our submarines in the Philly shipyard in the United States. So I think we have to discuss more in detail whether this is actually related to United States maritime strategies to be integrated more with their C2 system and more joint exercises and more joint kind of operations in the maritime domain, or we are just invest there or in developing their submarine developing capabilities. We have to see, but at this moment, I think the decision that Donald Trump make during this APEC summit is that South Korea and the United States to cooperate on the maritime industry as well as maritime security issue as well, which means that two countries' strategy interests should be aligned more in details in not only about the North Korea's but also related to China and other revisionist countries in the region.
Right, and Chinese President Xi Jinping was also in Gyeongju, and this was his first visit to South Korea in 11 years. He sat down with President Lee Jae Myung on Saturday. What's your take on their summit?
Well, it has been quite years that two countries' leaders actually met together as a summit level. So it is quite relieving that we are resuming our summit diplomacy with China. And having a dialogue with China is pretty important, and not only because we are close to each other in a geographic manner, but also we have a lot of issues to discuss, not only about economy, people-to-people exchanges or cultural exchanges, but also we have very serious issue in the Yellow Sea or West Sea, the artificial architecture established in the West Sea. So in that sense, it is pretty important to having a dialogue with Chinese counterpart. But at the same time, it was right after the Donald Trump decisions to allow South Korea to build a nuclear submarine, which actually that's why President Xi mentions that that should not intervene or affect Chinese core value. So I think China and South Korea, of course, we just started our dialogue. That's a good sign. But at the same time, we have very serious issue that might not be compatible with one another's strategic interests. So we need to continue our dialogue.
Right, we'll have to see how the bilateral relations play out. All right, Professor Chung, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.